Hello YouTube, it's DarthSteve333 here for yet another quick pickups video. This is a very quick addition to the two that I've yet to edit and upload, so it will be quick. Right, where to start? Okay, a couple of current gen pickups. You might remember in my last video I mentioned that my mate sort of gave me a load of stuff he was clearing out. Amongst those games was this one, which he's completed and said he's happy for me to have. So obviously I haven't played this yet. I've no idea how good it's meant to be. The cat is back. It is a PS4 game, Crime and Punishment. It's Sherlock Holmes. I'd imagine it's like a mystery type of game. So I will be giving that a punt at some point. I recently caved. I took in a load of doubles to Computer Exchange, got a fair few quids worth of credit, so I'll be looking to add to the Dreamcast collection in the next week or two. Maybe get one or two of the big hitters out of the way. But with part of the credit, I mentioned I'd already got my wife this and she's been ploughing ahead with it. Like I say, I caved. What made it more affordable was the fact that obviously with it being trading credit, it meant this was, rather than about sort of anywhere between 45 to 55 quid depending on where you shop, I got this for more like the equivalent of somewhere between about 15 and 20 quid, so that made it a lot more affordable. So yeah, if you've not guessed it already, it's Destiny 2. I got this obviously from Computer Exchange, and rather nicely the code for the DLC gun has redeemed in it as well, so that's good. I.e. I've managed to redeem it, not the previous owner. Don't know quite why people will pick something up quite so quickly and then trade it in without actually sort of using the DLC, but you know, their loss is my gain, so to speak. Anyway, so to the point of this very short video. At the weekend just gone, I went to my usual car boot sale on on the Saturday morning, and I came home with absolutely nothing. I was there for a good hour, sort of, you know, from when people were sort of half set up to when I think pretty much everyone that was due to go there had come along and set up, and there was basically nothing there. So same old faces. So I might leave that one. I've been told that there's a Saturday car boot nearby which might be worth a look, so in a couple of weeks I'm going to give that a go. I say a couple of weeks because the week just coming, today's Tuesday, I might upload this late, so it might have already been and gone, but basically this weekend is Eurogamer, which I have a tradition of going to every year. So I'll be doing all 4 days, so I would absolutely knack it out by Sunday evening. So I have actually got the Monday off work as well, so I should be playing some games on Monday and having a kip. So anyway, so that was Saturday. Saturday was a bust, nothing of any interest at all. So Sunday, we'd sort of arranged a few weeks previously to go to what was it, Antiques and Flea Fair or something. Been there before, passed up a ZX Spectrum last time we went 2 or 3 years ago. Regretted it afterwards. Anyway, I went along more for the day out than, you know, with the actual idea that we might find something, and as it happened, I found a few things, including one thing which I didn't pick up, which I will make a comment on in a little while. But yeah, the first couple of things I saw were on a stall. It was a guy with sort of various bits and bobs, really, sort of like an upmarket house clearance seller, if you like. So the two things I got, well, first thing was I asked how much they were. One was 35 and one was 30, and I thought, well, it's early in the day still, relatively speaking. I'll go back a bit later and see if they're still there and maybe sort of offer him a price for the two things. So that's what I did. I managed to last for about just over an hour, I think. I did swing past there a couple of times just to see that we're still there, and The second time that I did that, I noticed that both the items had been moved from where they'd been positioned when I last saw them. So I thought, oh, that means someone's probably had a look themselves and might be interested. So I decided to bite the bullet. I went back and I sort of says, rather than 30 and 35, so obviously a total of 65, I says, will you take 50 for the two? And the guy said, yeah. So what I saw was two things here. This is a bit beat up and currently it doesn't power up. So I'll be having this apart over the next day or two and having a look at it. But it is a boxed Mega Drive. It's got everything in there bar Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously, as you can see, the box is a bit ragged. I will try and tidy that up. It's also got a fair amount of sellotape in there. It's one of these with a plastic insert. I won't take it out. Obviously, you all know what a Mega Drive looks like. So I was quite pleased to get that. Obviously, as I say, hopefully I can get it to work. I say hopefully. Half the fun is in trying to get it to work. The thing that actually drew me attention to that particular stall in the first place was this. And this is, as you can see by the not small writing, is an Atari 2600. It's a junior one. And this is also complete. And I will open it up. There we go. It's still got the instructions in. And it's in very, very nice condition. So if it had said no to my offer, I'd have probably tried to barter him down a little bit and brought this home anyway. But as it was, he went for my offer, and this looks like it's been barely used. As you can see, there's no scratches and so on, really, to speak of. The cellophane has been taken off the Atari metal part. But as you can see, it's in very, very nice condition. And what made me very interested in it was it came with I'll get there in a moment. It came with the actual power supply, which I am short of. This is my first 2600 power supply. You may recall I've got a Vader model, which I've been running off like a multi-voltage adapter. That works, and then I picked up a few months ago now another 2600 Junior that was in very, very beat up shape, which replaced the 2600 Junior that I traded in with a, what was it? Oh, that's right, my spare NES. And my old 2600 Junior went towards the Virtual Boy, which I still don't know if it works or not. But yeah, one day. So anyway, yeah, that the other 2600 Junior and the 2600 Woody or the VCS, neither of those could I get to work as yet. So now that I have an official power supply, I'm hoping that that will help my eventual efforts to try and get them functional as well. So obviously, as I say, it came with the aerial, well, some sort of an aerial device. I'll show you it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how all this lot works, but as you can see, it's got a SCART. I believe one of these ends plugs into this little switch box here, but I've not actually had to play with that yet. But also in there we have 2632 in one game cartridge, which obviously would seem to have come with the system itself, including the instructions, which is nice, and also a little bonus game, which I do have already, Pac-Man with the manky label that they all seem to develop after time. I think it's the glue that seeps through or something. I've also got me Donkey Kong, which I picked up a few months ago in there just because I fancied a game on Donkey Kong. So as you can guess, it works, and I'm very pleased about that. I'll just put all this lot back. But yeah, this was what I was mostly interested in, because obviously I have well, I have both systems, but the 2600 is in lovely condition, so if I'd have had to have made a choice between the two, it would have been the 2600, but as it was, I managed to bring home both. So as I say, one working, one not. Hopefully I can get the Mega Drive to work. So that was that. So I headed off to have a bit of lunch with my wife, who was with me, and my folks, who also went along. And I thought, yeah, that'll do me. That's very nice. So then in the afternoon, I was just mooching around a couple of the halls, because the bit that we looked at in the morning was outside. Went in the halls and literally just sort of started looking after lunch. My mum caught my attention. We went, oh, go and have a look at this. And what had drawn her attention was this, which actually I went back to buy later, because I didn't really ask about the price of this at the time, because something else had took my attention. As it was, this cost me £10. It come with a beaten up power supply. The wires have been removed or cut in some form, but that didn't really bother me because I have a couple of Spectrum power supplies. What did get me attention was, I'm just trying to see where the extra part is. Oh yes, here we go. I can actually show you what I mean. This is the Spectrum power supply. No, that's my working Spectrum power supply. This is, despite being short, as organised as usual. This is the power supply that came with it, and as you can see, it's missing the actual wire that goes to the Spectrum itself, and this end of the mains plug has been cut for some reason. So it may work, it may not. I may have a tinker once I've gotten a bit more proficient with that sort of thing. But for the time being, as I say, one of my existing supplies will work. So what had actually got my attention was what was next to the Spectrum, and I've been looking for one of these for years, having never owned one. I know they're out there on eBay and the like, but I did speak to someone that I got my +2 black model, +2B, I think it was, the other week. He mentioned he got one of these, but I haven't really seen him. Well, I've seen him twice since, and he hadn't got one with him. So anyway, I was very surprised to see this at the Antiques and Flea Fair, and it is a ZX81, which I've tested and it works. It come with the RAM pack, which I've not been brave enough to plug in yet, because apart from anything else, having never owned a ZX81 before, I have no way of checking to see if it works and how to check. I think it's a 16K RAM pack, from what I understand, but I don't know how to check that at this point. So once I've learned a little bit there, I will be plugging that in, crossing my fingers, and trying to work out if it is a working RAM pack. Anyway, here's the ZX81 power supply. So I went over, like I say, having sort of had my attention attracted by my mum. Saw that and I just went, oh, picked it up, and I just said to the lady behind the stall, I says, how much is this? And she goes, 20 quid. I says, yes please. Didn't bargain, bargain, haggle, whatever. I just thought, oh yeah, you know, I didn't even have a figure in mind when I asked her the question. So I was over the moon to get that. So as I mentioned later, towards the end of the day, I went back and I said, I've come back to ask about its friend, i.e. this. And when she said a tenner, I was like, I can't leave it there. I have a bit of a special place for the Spectrum, being the first system that we owned. Excuse me. So yeah, I couldn't leave it there. Like I say, that works as well. So out of the 4 things I got that day, 3 of them work, which I don't think you can grumble at. So yeah, I spent a bit more than I was expecting to. I wasn't expecting to spend anything, to be honest with you. I was just, like I say, there for the day out. The other thing that I saw, I nearly dropped through the floor when I saw it. It was a BBC. I'm not sure if it was a Model A or a Model B. I recognised them from school, back in the dim and distant past, because we used to have a room with about 8 or 10 networked BBCs. I think they were the B. Anyway, there was this BBC there. It had got like an external, it looked like an external drive bay with 2 additional drives, or 2 drives, and a few discs. And although I was practically out of money by that point, and this was near the end of the day before I went back for the Spectrum, I said to the chap, I went, oh, you know, being surprised to see one, I says, oh, how much is this? And he goes, oh, well, you know, I couldn't go any lower than 100. I was thinking, whew, that's a bit steep. And he says, well, it's the gold in it, you see. And I'm not sure how much, excuse me, the cat is fussing the table that this camera's resting on. I'm not sure how much truth there is in that. I'd imagine there's probably a little bit of gold on the contacts in the computer, but I don't know if he was trying to blag me, so to speak. But it's the first time I've heard that as an excuse for something being quite so expensive. So, you know, even if I'd had the money, I wouldn't have paid that for it. You know, half that I'd have considered it. Or, you know, if it have maybe considered separating the I don't know, the external drives and the computer itself, I don't know, but you know, I thought that was a bit much, especially considering, like I say, it was about half an hour before the event ended, so the odds are he was going to be taking that home with him. So yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointing finish to the day. I would have loved to have come home with the BBC as well, and played them games that I picked up for it a few months back, you know, Revs and the Flight Simulator game. But, you know, I will get a BBC one of these days. I just hopefully won't end up paying £100 for it. So anyway, well, obviously with Eurogamer coming up, I'm going to need a few quid for that. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing, but all told, really can't grumble. I was not expecting to come home with anything, much less a ZX81, a Spectrum, a 2600 and a Mega Drive, and a rather beaten up Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book, which I absolutely adore. Anything that he had anything to do with Douglas Adams is a bit of a legend in my eyes. But off the topic, I'm going to wrap up there. I've gabbled on, probably longer than I was expecting to. Thank you once again for watching. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my last videos because I was very conscious of the time that I was spending. So yeah, thank you to anyone who subscribed, any new subscribers, anyone that likes and comments on the videos, thanks very much. Very much appreciated. It's nice to, excuse me, it's nice to know that someone watches these and hopefully enjoys them. So yeah, I'll try and keep the good content coming. And for now, this is Darth Steve 333 signing off. Bye.